What is going on, friends, and welcome into another Mercado Airwaves Q&A. I am Mike Mercado. Thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you all for the support that you have given us on this brand new adventure that we are doing, a part of the whole Mercado Airwaves content block that we are trying to produce for you guys. And hopefully you guys continue with us and keep sending in those awesome questions so we can discuss, talk, and keep the good vibes going, guys. Thank you. But before we get to the questions, here is a quick message. Hey, friends, Mike here from Outreach Radio Chicago and Mercado Airwaves. I am so excited to let you in on a new service we are providing. If you or someone you know has an upstart or established business and company and would like to do some marketing on various platforms, you can do that right now by becoming an official sponsor and power all our interviews with athletes and celebrities. We assure quality audio in the beginning and ending of our interviews that will spotlight your amazing business and help bring in as much traffic as possible to all your outlets. From award-winning celebrities, Sundance Film Darling director David Farrier joins us.
Appreciate you having me on the show.
To world champion athletes, UFC bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz. Dominic, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you, Mike?
We promise you the absolute best from the entire staff of Mercado Airwaves. For more information, visit us on patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Subscribe to us on youtube.com/Mike Mercado2333. Like the radio show page on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. Follow us on Instagram, Mike Mercado2333. And visit the website, mercadoairwaves.wordpress.com. Thank you for listening and all the support. Thank you again, guys, for keeping it tuned in with us here in the Mercado Airwaves Q&A. If you want to be part of the conversation, follow me on Twitter at mmercado2333, Instagram Mike Mercado2333, or like me on Facebook at Michelangelo Mercado. Use the hashtag Mercado Airwaves Q&A. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one. Andres asks, how do you believe Saban will do with the already planned 7 to 8 film saga leading to the seasons of Power Rangers we or some of us grew up with? Here's the thing, right? You got to get the first one down. I mean, it's really easy to talk about establishing franchises and talking about the future and what the goals are when nothing's set in stone and when everything is just hypothetical and everything is rosy. But fact are, there's been plenty of times where people thought that this was going to be the start of a new franchise and that it was going to create this, it was going to be the next Marvel universe, or it was going to be the next Star Wars, or and you know how hard it is to create films like that, for that type of stuff to happen. Now, this Power Rangers movie that comes out in March, I think it looks pretty good. I think it has a lot of cool modern elements. It kind of has some of that throwback 90s look to it, though. But at the end of the day, it's still a Power Rangers movie. And you got to keep it in perspective. They believe that the new Ninja Turtles movies that just came out, we're going to create this new franchise. And I'm pretty sure that iteration of Turtles is dead after the second one. You could look at movies like Dracula Untold, which was supposed to be the birth of the new Monsters universe for Universal. And that wasn't so much the case now that we have the Tom Cruise Mummy movie coming out. The Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds certainly was going to try to begin a new universe for DC. So bringing it back to Saban's plans for 7 to 8 Power Rangers movies, I mean, that's an ambitious goal. Every company, every production company, everything in Hollywood is looking for that type of movie. The only way that happens, though, is if it's a good movie. And if it's not, it won't do anything. It won't matter how many you want to make, because if the first one doesn't make any money and no one goes to see it, there won't be a second one. And personally, I think just like anything else where you're taking an already an established IP from a different format of entertainment, you have to make it the best movie possible. So you can't worry about the show, the 90s show, or any of the seasons. You can't worry about comic books when you're making superhero movies. You can't even worry about the books if you're trying to make an adaptation from a book. You do your best to make sure the story stays the same, but you have to do what's best for the film. Same thing with this Power Rangers movie. It has to do what's best for it to make its own standing as a movie, as its own franchise. And if you get a part 2 or 3, that's amazing. 7 to 8, though, that's going to be a tall order to ask. Thank you, buddy. That was a good question. All right, this one's from David Foss. Fossey asked, thoughts on Kurt Angle becoming a WWE Hall of Famer? Whether he should return on a Legends basis a la Lesnar, and who has been the best WWE star this year? We all know it's been AJ Styles, but I want to know your thoughts. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. First off, Kurt Angle becoming a Hall of Famer. Obvious, amazing move by WWE and Kurt Angle. Just for the recognition alone, he was only in the company for 7 years, and he did some of the most amazing feats. One of the most underrated performers on the mic. Could tell an amazing story in the ring, and was a legitimate badass. An Olympic gold medalist, not a gimmick. That was real. So Kurt Angle, deservingly going into the Hall of Fame. And again, that's the thing, right? It's not a real Hall of Fame. Like, there's not a building, and it's chosen by the company and what will make more sense and sell more money. But Kurt Angle, all things being equal, more than deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, he has had his own personal demons when it comes to substance abuse, and he's talked about it. So a return is going to be iffy and on him, on top of his already established medical issues that he's had with his neck and other injuries of wrestling for so many years. And Triple H has talked about how the WWE as a company would have to take serious precaution if they were to work with Kurt Angle in an in-ring basis. Because you can't be liable one way or the other, whether it's from potential demons resurfacing when it comes to drug use or alcoholism or whatever his vices may have been or are. And health. I do think there's an outside chance he might show up at the Royal Rumble. I think that would be awesome. Doesn't have to take a crazy bump. Gets a huge pop from the crowd when his music hits. But I think that's the extent of it. I don't think you'll see something like Brock Lesnar. Although he was Brock Lesnar before Brock Lesnar was there. So it's an interesting point. WWE Superstar of the Year. I think AJ Styles is an easy one. I think that's the consensus thought of who the best wrestler was in WWE standpoint. So if I was to take AJ out of the equation, it's close between people like Shinsuke Nakamura. The Miz had a fantastic year. As of late, I would put Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho as having a crazy second half of the year. So you could put it between any of those guys. You can always put Brock Lesnar on that list just because he's such a beast. Shane McMahon having his moment at WrestleMania. But I think I feel way more comfortable putting it down between Shinsuke Nakamura and The Miz as the superstars of the year that are not AJ Styles, with a mention of Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. Thank you, David. I appreciate the question, man. Thank you for all the support also. This one comes from Caitlin. Caitlin, thank you for supporting us. She asks, Royal Rumble predictions. I made this prediction a few shows back. I'm almost spacing out who the hell I picked. But as of right now, as of this recording a week before Royal Rumble, I'm going to go Finn Balor. Another follow-up wrestling question. A lot of wrestling questions today. I didn't think this weekend Q&A was going to be all wrestling, but I want to make sure that I get the friends list taken care of first. What are your thoughts on Mickie James returning this past week on SmackDown? Is she still relevant to this current audience, or is she past her prime? Yeah, she showed up as La Luchadora against Becky Lynch, working with Alexa Bliss, apparently. But, not to get into the whole thing since we've been talking a lot of wrestling. I think Mickie James is such an awesome performer, tells some really good stories in and out of the ring. I think there's enough. She hasn't been gone long enough for people to forget about her. She was still working the wrestling scene, and with her awesome match at NXT TakeOver against Asuka, I think a lot of diehard fans will remember her, and even the casual fan, as long as they were around when she was feuding with Trish Stratus, I think her name still brings in a little recognition, not household recognition, but for wrestling fans, I think she still brings some form of relevancy. All right, last wrestling question, I promise. This one's from Rogelio Toro. He asks, do you guys think Seth Rollins is overrated, and do you think he will be champion again? With the WWE bringing in so much talent, has the boat passed on Seth Rollins? So yeah, he's actually become kind of a second-tier guy, second fiddle in the roster right now, and they're bringing in a lot of talent. I think alone talent-wise, he'll never disappear. He's too good to. But it's the biggest problem WWE has right now. They haven't found the superstar. They tried putting their reins on Roman Reigns and let him roll with them, but it hasn't quite taken off like they thought it would. Seth Rollins came in super hot after his injury, and they did nothing with it. He has a storyline going with Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens, and this back tier story with Triple H, and it really, there's no heat to any of it. And that's the problem with any wrestler. So if there's no heat and there's nothing behind the story, it doesn't matter how great they are. It doesn't matter how good they are on the mic or how good they are in the ring. There's no reason to be invested in these characters. It means nothing. And the matches mean nothing. And that's what's happening with Seth Rollins right now. And the biggest problem for a lot of guys is they do not give them the proper storytelling. And this is still a television show. Especially WWE tells you it is. So you have to have better writing. You would not let some of this stuff fly in Game of Thrones or Walking Dead. You wouldn't let Rick in Walking Dead not have the proper storyline. You wouldn't have Jon Snow not have the proper storyline in Game of Thrones. That happens a lot in wrestling. But every week, 52 weeks a year, 5 hours live, that's going to happen with the bad writing. Thank you guys for all those awesome wrestling questions. Hey friends, Mike here from Outreach Radio Chicago and Mercado Airwaves. I am so excited to let you in on a new service we are providing. If you or someone you know has an upstart or established business and company and would like to do some marketing on various platforms, you can do that right now by becoming an official sponsor and power all our interviews with athletes and celebrities. We assure quality audio in the beginning and ending of our interviews that will spotlight your amazing business and help bring in as much traffic as possible to all your outlets. From award-winning celebrities, Sundance Film Darling director David Farrier joins us.
Appreciate you having me on the show.
To world champion athletes, UFC bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz. Dominic, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you, Mike?
We promise you the absolute best from the entire staff of Mercado Airwaves. For more information, visit us on patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Subscribe to us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Like the radio show page on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. Follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. And visit the website, mercadoairwaves.wordpress.com. Thank you for listening and all the support. At Soy Mappis ask, are you excited about Nintendo Switch? Thoughts on it? Yes, the Nintendo Switch, the new video game system coming out for Nintendo in March. A lot of controversy going both ways. The pricing is $300. Essentially, it's a mixture of the Wii with their handheld device, mixed with, I guess, Wii U elements. It's an entire weird product itself, and I'm really excited for it. Just seeing the software that we got with the new Legend of Zelda game, the new open world Mario Odyssey game, which again a lot of people were having issues with the visual of Mario in the real world in New Donk City, which is supposed to be like New York City. Yeah, Nintendo, my problem with Nintendo is this. It has the IP. We talk about the intellectual properties that a lot of companies have, especially in the movie world. But in the video game world, none are more valuable than Metroid, Donkey Kong, Mario, at least in the hearts of a lot of different people. Maybe financially it's not even the case, which is why you don't see a lot of Metroid games and so on and so forth. But Nintendo, they've always been a company that tries to be ahead of the curve with new technology. But one of the things that has sold that technology were the properties, was the software, was Mario, was Zelda, F-Zero X, was Super Smash Brothers. And when they're not dishing that out, when we're not getting those type of lineups, when we don't know when those games are coming out, that company is useless. It's useless. And even though I'm excited, I'm a fan, I'm excited to see them go back to typical gaming. What are they offering me right now that's different than the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One? I'm waiting. This is my problem. I was so hyped when the announcement first came out and their press conference first happened. But as we're getting closer, as the situation comes where I'm actually going to have to spend money on this thing, if you were to ask me right now, it's between that or buying a VR set for my PlayStation, I might pick the PlayStation. Even though I'm dying to play Breath of the Wild, the new Zelda game. I'm dying to play it. So excited. And I would want to get my hands on that new Mario game in the holiday season. But you got to have the proper software. You got to. Otherwise, what's the point? There's no cloud of being there's no reason to use your cloud as Nintendo if you're not making the right games. Thank you for the question, bud. All right, this one's from Derek Large. Ask, would Fox have the balls to cast another unknown actor as the new Wolverine instead of a big name? Now, this again is coming off all the rumors that are saying Hugh Jackman will not be playing Wolverine after the new Logan movie. Fine, take that to the side. He's probably going to be in Deadpool 2 after all this promotional stuff that him and Ryan Reynolds have been doing. So then let's say there is a universe where there's no longer Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. No, it's too big of a role now to put on the hands of an unknown. Even if the guy may be a great actor and may have the potential to be the next Daniel Day-Lewis. that's too much of a property that makes too much money for the studio to trust in somebody. Now Disney's doing it with the new Han Solo. So if you could do it for new Han Solo, you might be able to do it for Wolverine. But just from the outside looking in, I don't think they're going to do that. All right. The last one comes from Cowboy George. He asked, how about Michael Keaton as Batman in a Batman Beyond movie? Okay, I'm glad I'm finally going to be able to answer this one. I'm a super huge Batman fanboy. Fine. I acknowledge that. The person next to me, to my right or to my left, knows who Bruce Wayne is, knows who Batman is. If I was to tell them who Batman Beyond is, they have no idea who I'm talking about. And I think that's the problem with especially comic book fans is we assume everybody knows everything about what we watch and the lore and the comic books and things like that. But if I was to just tell to the novice person that this is a show about Batman in the future without Batman, they will look at me crazy. And, and here's the thing too, right, is it's not like a story where it's a James Bond where it's different actors playing the same character. It's an iconic character that has been around for almost 80 years. And that's who they established. Think about this. I argue with you that Miles Morales, the new Spider-Man, is way more known than Terry McGinnis is as Batman Beyond. And if there's no chance in hell that they'll ever make a Spider-Man with Miles Morales in it that's live action, what makes you think they're going to get rid of their bread and butter known as Batman? For Batman Beyond? For fanboy service? A comic book usually every month sells 40,000 comics, right? 40,000 people isn't going to make you $1 billion movie. My mom doesn't know who Terry McGinnis is. My grandmother doesn't. Tell them who Bruce Wayne is, they do. I tell them who's Miles Morales, they have no idea. I tell them Peter Parker, that's Spider-Man. And that's the point. I think as fanboys, we have to get out of this mentality that just because we love something and just because something may seem like a cool idea does not mean it's going to make the studio money. And at the end of the day, it's a business still. Sometimes we get lucky, we get great movies that we take a lot of enjoyment out, and something like The Dark Knight that does both critically and as fan service is amazing in both ends. That doesn't mean that's going to happen for everything. Thank you guys, though. That'll do it for us. It is Championship Sunday. I got to get out of here. I got to go watch the games. I need to know who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl. So follow me everywhere in the universe. I'm on Twitter at mmercado2333. Follow me on Instagram, Mike Mercado2333. We're on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago and Michelangelo Mercado, so please like us there. Visit us on Patreon, patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. We have a lot of cool things for all of you who want to support the show. You want to listen to our interviews with UFC and celebrities ad-free and before anybody else. Check us out there at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Visit the website, mercadoairwaves.wordpress.com, and do us one huge favor, like and subscribe to us on youtube.com/Mike Mercado 2333. Thank you guys. I can't wait to hear all your response on the comment section below and all over social media. Please let us know all your questions and be part of the conversation at hashtag Mercado Airwaves Q&A. Thank you guys. That'll do it for us, and we will see you next time. Hey friends, Mike here from Outreach Radio Chicago and Mercado Airwaves. I am so excited to let you in on a new service we are providing. If you or someone you know has an upstart or established business and company and would like to do some marketing on various platforms, you can do that right now by becoming an official sponsor and power all our interviews with athletes and celebrities. We assure quality audio in the beginning and ending of our interviews that will spotlight your amazing business and help bring in as much traffic as possible to all your outlets. From award-winning celebrities, Sundance Film Darling director David Farrier joins us.
Appreciate you having me on the show.
To world champion athletes, UFC bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz. Dominic, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you, Mike?
We promise you the absolute best from the entire staff of Mercado Airwaves. For more information, visit us on patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Subscribe to us on youtube.com/Mike Mercado2333. Like the radio show page on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. Follow us on Instagram, Mike Mercado2333. And visit the website, mercadoairwaves.wordpress.com. Thank you for listening and all the support.